Hello everyone. I hope this video is finding you happy, healthy, and a little more centered and at peace since watching Dr. Hadley's video yesterday on stress reduction. I'm here to continue the conversation about ways that you can reduce your non-purposeful inflammation. And Dr. Hadley and I initially heard that term coined by a physician named Dr. Stephen Yannick, who is an immunologist, MD, and he is really shifting the conversation around ways that we can arm our immune system to fight whatever comes in contact with. And of course, our conversation is surrounding coronavirus, but really, your immune system does more than just fight off viruses. It fights off pathogens like bacteria, parasites, other environmental toxins like tobacco smoke, pollution, plastics, whatever it comes in and sees as foreign. Your immune system is what is in charge of starting an inflammatory process in hopes of clearing the infection or whatever it's come in contact with. But it's when that inflammation becomes too great or becomes chronic that it becomes an issue. And so Holly and I wanted to really arm you with some information about ways that you can reduce this non-purposeful inflammation so that when something does come up that your body does need to fight or attack, that it's ready and able to do that in the best way possible. And so today's discussion is really surrounding nutrition, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, as I've talked with many of you about the importance of our food and what we're putting into our bodies as fuel. And so whether you are keto, paleo, pescatarian, a meat lover, or a vegan, I am hoping that what we're going to talk today about is really universal truths and things that will really speak to anyone, whatever your dietary preferences are. And so the first universal truth that I want to tell you all about, and I know you've heard it, maybe you're sick of hearing this, but food really is your best medicine. Thank you, Hippocrates. Let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. And so that is the overarching theme of today's discussion. The second truth is that when we are eating foods, we want them to be nutrient-dense whole foods. Nothing packaged, nothing processed, and nothing microwave ready. This is going to require some intentionality. This is going to require some planning. And I don't think it has to be elaborate preparations from a cookbook, but I do think having a protein, a carbohydrate, and a healthy fat for every meal is important. And so what do I mean by a nutrient-dense whole food? It really means it's coming in its most natural state with little process or preparation. And so that's going to be your leaner sources of animal meat, if you eat animal meat, like ground turkey versus packaged deli meat. Or it's going to be whole chicken versus chicken fingers or drumsticks. And obviously the healthiest sources of your animal protein are going to be organic, grass-fed, and that includes your eggs as well. You really want eggs to be pasture-free, organic, and if you can buy them locally, that's always a great option as well. And so nutrient-dense whole foods. Really avoid the processed packaged items. The third truth is going to be that the majority of your intake should be from plants. I know meat lovers, that's hard for you to hear, but the reason that we really want to focus not only on our macronutrients, but also on our micronutrients is because plants feed the good bacteria in our gut. And plants provide fiber for better digestive health. And plants give us those micronutrients, those things that feed our tissues and our muscles and our cells on a cellular level. And so I'm going to be talking at the end about some nutrients that are particularly important when fighting the coronavirus. But really, these are things that you can be doing. They should just be kind of your normal practice. And I understand that a lot of people have food allergies or sensitivities. And I'm not going to call this a universal truth, but I do think there are more pro-inflammatory items that I would suggest either completely eliminating or limiting your intake. And that's going to be gluten, dairy, non-organic soy, corn, peanuts, refined sugar, and alcohol. And so a lot of times if you remove these things from your diet for about 6 weeks and then you reintroduce them, your body will tell you very clearly, hey, I actually don't respond very well to this. And so right now you may say, oh, I can handle gluten just fine, doesn't bother me. I would actually say try giving it up for a few weeks and then reintroducing it back and seeing, do you get a little bloated, or do you have a little headache? Do you feel a little foggier? Do you have joint stiffness? And if you have any of those things, it may be worthwhile completely eliminating them from your intake. Next, and this is going to be hard to hear, but this is not the time to make excuses for why you cannot stick to these truths, because a lot of times people say, well, I just don't have the time to prep my food. I just don't have the time. I have so much going on. I can't be intentional about prepping food or planning food. And I would say that right now you have a lot more time. And so now is the time to create new habits. I know this is a difficult time for many people, and I am not trying to belittle that in any way. But I also know that we have been gifted with more time at home with our family, with our children, our spouses. And so I would say use this time well and use it to create some new habits and to kind of up your game, as we said in the email on Monday. Another thing that I think is important is to be mindful of mindless eating. And I know that I am very guilty of watching television and then making several trips back and forth from the pantry or the refrigerator. And I've noticed that is a trigger for me. And so I have to keep the TV off, or I can't eat in front of the television. I can't do both. And so I don't know whether you're eating out of boredom, out of anxiety, out of fear, or just out of habit. But I would say just be mindful of when are you going to the pantry or the refrigerator when you're actually really not that hungry. Okay, so the last thing I want to leave you with are some specific nutrients that are particularly helpful when fighting viruses. The first one is going to be zinc. Everyone's been touting the importance of zinc, and that is because zinc has been shown to reduce the replication of the virus. It actually prevents it from attaching to the cell, and that is where getting inside the cell and then replicating itself. And so zinc is incredibly powerful. And you can find zinc high in lamb, beef, chickpeas, lentils, spinach, and even eggs. Another great nutrient is going to be resveratrol. I'm sure you all know that resveratrol is found in red wine, but it's because of the red grapes. You can also find it in pistachios, dark chocolate, and blueberries. A third is going to be quercetin. Quercetin is found in your green leafy vegetables, broccoli, red onions, peppers, apples, and also grapes. Of course, we can't tout the importance of vitamin C enough. Vitamin C is found in all kinds of fruits and vegetables: broccoli, cantaloupe, kiwi, papaya, strawberries, tomatoes, even sweet potatoes. And so these are some things that you can find in your food. Of course, you can take these as supplements as well, and we offer many of these things in the office if you cannot find them at your local drugstore. However, I just want to impress upon you that these items can be found in your food, and thus this is how it is going to be your medicine. And of course, we are offering high dose vitamins in the office. And I understand if it kind of scares you or freaks you out about leaving your home, which I totally understand. Holly and I are taking the greatest precautions possible so that you are having very little, if any, contact with someone other than the person who's administering your IV. Even still, if that's not something that you're interested in, that's okay. But for those of you that are willing to come in, I would say that Holly and I are convinced of its effectiveness and its helpfulness. And we wouldn't be doing it otherwise if we thought we were putting people at unnecessary risk. And though we are not treating coronavirus with high dose vitamin C, it is being used in China and Italy and even now in New York City as a treatment, as the virus has been shown to deplete your vitamin C stores as a part of this systemic or full body inflammatory process ensues to fight the infection. And so we really believe that what we're doing is very helpful. And we're hopeful that it's also just a way to reassure you when you come in the office and just to be somewhat face-to-face with you and just hear about how it's going. But obviously we are here for you virtually as well, with visits, phone calls, portal, text. Please keep communicating with us, and please let us know if these videos, if this information is helpful. We do this for you because we love you and we want you to not be afraid, but to be ready and to feel like you have the knowledge that you need, and that you have people who are just constantly pushing you forward and here to help however they can. And so with that, I will sign off. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I look forward to seeing you soon.